Dear students, welcome to the second online perio theory class. So today's topic is furcation involvement and its management. Okay, so before I come to the core concepts in furcation involvement, you have to first understand the basic terminologies. Okay, so to help you understand that, I have made a tooth model, and that too using my daughter's Play-Doh, by the way. Okay, so in this model, this is the crown portion, the pink one, and this is the root complex. So root complex is the portion that is below the CJ and it's covered by cementum. Okay, and this root complex has an undivided area. This is an undivided area. Okay, so that forms your root trunk. Okay, so the undivided portion of the root complex forms the root trunk, and the divided portion are your root cones. Okay, so the area, I think I can show you like this. The area between the root cones is called the furcation. The area between the root cones. Okay, so in this furcation too, this portion, this is the roof of the furcation, and that is called the furcation fornix. Okay, the roof of the furcation is called the furcation fornix. Now, the distance between the cones is called divergence, and this divergence increases more and more as we go apically. Okay, this is divergence. There is something called as degree of separation. So what is the degree of separation? That is the angle that is formed here. This is your degree of separation. Now there is one more thing called coefficient of separation. Now what is a coefficient of separation? It is a ratio of the length of the root cone to the length of the root complex. Length of the root cone divided by the length of the root complex. So that is your coefficient of separation. Okay. Now there are different classifications for furcation involvement. There is one. Okay, so now coming to the classification of furcation involvement, the most commonly used classification is Glickman's classification. Okay, so what has he told? If there is soft tissue covering, okay, ideally the soft tissue should be covering. So grade 1 becomes when you can feel a catch. Okay, when you are probing, and just like how you get a catch in the occlusal surface if there is caries, similarly with your neighbor's probe, which is the probe which is used to see if the furcation involvement is present. There will be pictures of the neighbor's probe in my PPT. So it looks like an explorer, somewhat like an explorer. Okay, so if your neighbor's probe is getting, if you're going to get a catch in the furcation area, which means it is grade 1 furcation. Okay, if your probe is going halfway into the furcation area, then it becomes grade 2 furcation. Okay, if your neighbor's probe is able to enter from one portion and exit through the other while you are diagnosing, then that becomes grade 3 furcation or through and through furcation. Through and through furcation will be something like this. Okay, your probe is entering from one part and can exit through the other also. That becomes grade 3, and grade 4 is when clinically also you can see the furcation this way. If this is your soft tissue, clinically also you are able to visualize the furcation defect. Then that becomes grade 4 furcation. Okay, I'll once again explain the classification to you. There is soft tissue which is ideally covering the root portion and the furcation. Okay, so then the furcation is not involved. If suppose you are using a neighbor's probe and you get a catch in the area of the furcation, it means it is grade 1. If your neighbor's probe is entering halfway into the furcation but not exiting through the other side, then it becomes grade 2. If your neighbor's probe is entering through one side and it can exit through the other side as well, that becomes grade 3. And if you can clinically visualize the furcation defect, then it becomes grade 4. Okay. I have also shared a YouTube video. I think in that it should be crystal clear to you, the Glickman's classification. Okay, and there are others also who have given classifications. Another important classification is Tarnow and Fletcher's classification. What they have done is they have judged the distance between if there is alveolar bone here, they have just the distance between the base of the bony defect to the roof of the furcation. Okay, so if your bone is here and it is about 1 mm far from your roof, then that becomes subtype A. If your bone is here and it is about 4 to 6 mm away from your roof of furcation, then it becomes subtype B. If it is more than 7 mm, it becomes subtype C. Okay, I hope the classification is clear to you. Next is, how would you diagnose a furcation? I told you the probe, the neighbor's probe, looks something like an explorer. Okay, so it's C-shaped, so it can go into the area of the defect. And also with the help of radiographs, you can find out if there is interradicular bone loss present. If interradicular bone loss is present, it indicates that the furcation area is involved. Okay. Now, next coming to local anatomic factors in treatment of furcations. Okay. So when you are treating a tooth which has a furcation defect, okay, furcation defect means the furcation area is involved, or this chance. Okay, so what I intend to say is that, for example, just listen to me carefully. If this root trunk length was supposed to be really wide, if it was really wide, then if there is any type of periodontal destruction that is taking place and alveolar bone loss is taking place, the chances of the furcation area getting involved is delayed, isn't it? If the root trunk is really big, okay, if the root trunk is really big, then the bone loss has to start from here, it has to extend till here, and only then the furcation area gets involved. Okay, so if the root trunk is bigger, which means it is better. Okay, now the second example is, for example, short roots. If the tooth is having really short roots, then if there is periodontal destruction that is taking place, definitely it gets involved faster into the furcation area. Okay, now next example can be interradicular dimension. If the separation between the two roots is more, okay, I think I'll fix the roots back first. Okay, if this separation is really wide, which means so much of interradicular bone is present, so the chances of there being complete bone loss in this area is comparatively lesser. Okay, compared to if these roots were like really close to each other, then there would be very thin alveolar bone present here. Okay, so if there is periodontal destruction, then the chances of the bone loss taking place in that area is more. Okay, so thus there are certain factors which will determine how your prognosis of the treatment of furcation involved tooth will be. Another local factor which affects the treatment in furcation is the presence of cervical enamel pearls. So these are enamel projections that extend from the CEJ towards the furcation entrance. Okay, so if these cervical enamel pearls are present, then there is more chance for plaque accumulation here, eventually causing more alveolar bone loss here, which will further, if sometimes the enamel pearls are so big that they extend up till the entrance of the furcation, so there is rapid rate of bone loss because of the presence of these cervical enamel pearls. Okay, now next important topic is the treatment of furcation defects. So why do you have to treat furcation defects? Furcation defects are basically due to alveolar bone loss which is extended into the area of the furcation. Okay, so if it is, so your intention behind doing treatment would be, doing treatment would be to facilitate the maintenance, prevent further attachment loss, and obliterate the furcation defect. Okay, so for example, if it is grade 1 furcation involvement, what does grade 1 furcation involvement mean according to Glickman's classification? Incipient lesion. Okay, then if you have just an incipient lesion, It is sufficient if you do thorough scaling, thorough root planing, and you give proper oral hygiene instruction to the patient. And also if there are small enamel pearls or anything like that in this area, you can even do an odontoplasty, which is reshaping the tooth and removal of these cervical enamel pearls, or any overhanging restorations or anything like that, which is facilitating plaque accumulation in a particular area, which is why the furcation is involved. So all these basic things can be done, okay, and you can help to maintain the furcation defect without further bone loss. Okay, now next is treatment of grade 2 furcation. So in grade 2 furcation, one treatment option is furcoplasty. Now what is furcoplasty? Odontoplasty plus osteoplasty, which means you can reshape the bone also, plus if you have any cervical enamel pearls or overhanging margins, you can remove that also. So you're reshaping the bone, plus you are removing whatever is not favorable from the tooth portion, such that it will facilitate maintenance in the area of furcation after treatment to prevent any further bone loss. Okay. Now, the next part is really very important, which is the treatment of advanced furcation defects. Okay, if I were to put it in really simple words, okay, what you need to do is, advanced furcation involvement means grade 3 or grade 4, there is through and through alveolar bone loss, and sometimes even the soft tissue is seeded such that the furcation is visible. Okay, so what can be done? You have to do a periodontal flap surgery. You remember last class I had taught you about flap. So the section of gingiva is reflected. Okay. Now certain options that can be done is, for example, if there is more bone loss around one tooth, okay, but the other root is having sufficient bone around, then you can do an endodontic procedure, and then what you can do is you can resect this portion of the root. Okay, you have done an endodontic procedure, so that is taken care of, plus whatever this root was having a lot of bone loss around it, so you just resected this root. Okay, so that procedure is called as root resection. There are many indications, contraindications, factors to be taken into consideration. All that is there in the PPT. Okay, I want to explain to you what the different procedures are. Now the next option is, if the furcation is involved but there is sufficient bone on either aspect of both the roots, this portion is having extensive bone loss, but on this side and this side there is sufficient bone and the tooth is not mobile. Okay, so in such cases you can do something called as a hemisection or a bicuspidization. How is that done? You will first do a root canal procedure. After that you will divide the tooth and you will convert one molar into two premolars like this. Okay, now this process is called as bicuspidization, when you're dividing one molar into two premolars. Okay, so this was hemisection or bicuspidization. Another option that you can do is, sorry, my model is totally disintegrated. Another option that you can do is, in the area of furcation defect, there is some amount of bone loss, right? So you reflect the flap, you put bone graft. Okay, bone graft particles are available. So you put bone graft there and you cover it with a membrane, and then you place the flap back and suture it. So this bone graft particles that you have placed there, they will help in regeneration. They will help in formation of new bone in the area of furcation defect. Okay, so I think yes, and another important point is tunneling. Now tunneling also, it is important to understand why tunneling is done. So what they mean by tunneling is that usually in cases of grade 3 and grade 4 furcation, along with scaling and root planing, when other local factors and also are removed, what you can do is you can reflect the flap. Okay, and you're seeing that the bone is not in correct shape here. You can reduce the bone height such that after that, when there is soft tissue healing over there, a proper clean tunnel is formed. Okay, and the tunnel would be, sorry, the tunnel would be big enough so that you can use interdental cleaning aids at home and maintain that area well. Okay, so that is tunneling. One case of tunneling that was done, the photos are attached in the PPT so you can understand it better. Now the only last treatment option is that if the furcation is extensively involved and you cannot do any of the above mentioned procedures, then you ask the patient to extract the tooth and go for any FBD or implants. Okay, so this was regarding furcation. Prognosis of the treatment will depend a lot upon how much of alveolar bone is remaining and the condition of the tooth. Okay, I think that's all for this theory class. Please do let me know how this class was for you. I'll just once again tell you what the main headings were. One was basic terminologies. In that there is root complex. I told you the entire root. Root trunk, the undivided portion. Root cones, the divided portion. Area between the root cones is the furcation. Okay, and the furcation at the roof of it is the furcation fornix. Then there is something called as degree of separation, which is the angle formed there. Divergence is the distance between the two roots, which will be more and more as you go apically. Then there is the coefficient of separation, which is the ratio of the length of the root cones to the length of the root complex. Okay, so that was your basic terminologies. Then was Lichtmann's classification, which is grade 1 incipient, grade 2 cul-de-sac, or the probe enters from one side but cannot exit through the other. Grade 3 is through and through, and grade 4 is when the furcation becomes clinically visible. Okay, then there is Tarnow and Fletcher's classification, which is based on the vertical component. There is subgroup A, B and C, which is 1 to 3 mm, 4 to 6 and more than 7 mm. You diagnose furcation with the help of a neighbor's probe and also with the help of radiographs. Then there are certain factors which affect the prognosis of treatment, which is root trunk length, root length, and the divergence, anatomic factors, and cervical enamel projections. There are so many things. Details regarding it I have explained to you. Okay, and the next is the treatment of furcation, which is also a very important aspect. So if it is incipient, then you just do scaling and root planing procedures and odontoplasty if required. If it is grade 2, then you do a furcoplasty, which is odontoplasty plus osteoplasty. Okay, and if it is advanced furcation defect, then you can do a root canal treatment and then do hemisection, or you can do root resection, or you can do tunneling, or you can go for regenerative procedures, or if none of this works out, then you have to extract the tooth. Okay, so this was regarding the treatment of furcation. Prognosis will depend upon the remaining alveolar bone present, the condition of the tooth and the periodontal status. I think whatever I have missed out will definitely be there in the PPT. I am also sharing a YouTube video for you to understand the furcation involvement better. Okay, so I hope this class was useful for you. Please do send me the feedbacks and comments in this app. Okay, have a good day.